Hello, Mary and Lamont. Thanks again for coming in. And my name is Natalie Holmes, and I am the social worker that has been helping you and your family. And today is part of the family assessment. And I wanted to be asking questions about the kids and what has been stressful, things that have been going on at home, and what kind of support here in the agency that I'm able to help you with. I just want to remind you that this is a safe space without judgment. And just as a reminder, everything that we talk about here is confidential unless there is something serious that is a safety concern for yourself or others at home. And that is not something that we are concerned about today. Do you feel okay to continue? Mary states yes. Okay, great. So to start off, I want to talk about what's been going on at home and what has brought you in. Mary states, we brought ourselves in today because we have been very overwhelmed and with all the challenges that's been going on all at once. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And I know a lot of this has to do with the kids and the challenges that you have been dealing with. And we can start talking about Isaiah, who is 3 and has developmental issues. And what are some things that you have been noticing? Mary states. He isn't walking or talking yet, so that is something that has been difficult for caregivers to deal with. And then dealing with that can be a lot to manage day to day, and I can understand the pressure that you feel with, and you are not alone. And then talking about Simon, who is 8 years old, I understand that he has been having some behavioral issues at home and at school. And is there anything that the school has been saying to you? Lamont states. They're talking to us about his behavioral problems and putting him in a special needs class, but I am just worried about it because I was in a program like that and I had bullying and I don't want that happening to him. That is totally understandable, and that is something that we can monitor and continue moving forward with whatever path we decide to look into um, for Simon. And I wanted to thank you for sharing the bullying part because that can be something heavy as a parent. And a concern that is totally valid. And now I want to check in with things that have been going on with family at home. And how would you describe your relationship that has been going on with the kids? Mary states, we love them so much. It's just been a lot been going on because we don't have the proper resources to deal with everything. Well, it is clear that you care about them a lot and that you've been trying to do your best with the resources that have been stretched thin right now. And with Simon's behavioral issues that come up, is there any specific emotions towards him? Mary states. We don't blame him, but we try to talk to him about it, but he just doesn't really understand. And is there any expectations for Simon at home that you have specifically? Lamont states. We want him to respect adults and behave correctly and listen, but he just doesn't do that consistently, and we're struggling with it. Right. That probably happens when things are additional stress already high, more than usual. So, how do the kids get along with each other as siblings at home? Mary states. It's mostly okay, but with Simon's behavior, it can affect the other siblings. But then with Elizabeth, she's the most well-rounded child, so when sometimes the others feel that she is favored. That makes a lot of sense. Sibling dynamics can definitely shift when one child needs more attention than the others. So now I want to check in with both of you because parenting stress can affect you a lot and impact your relationship as a couple. So have you noticed anything that has impacted your relationship together? Mary states. We try to work together, but sometimes it's difficult because we don't always agree on discipline and the ideas of influencing church into the kids' lives. That is completely understandable, and that can be tough to not always be up on the same page. And I understand, Mary, that you have been feeling emotionally the past couple weeks. Has that been true? Mary states, I've been feeling very drained and overwhelmed and been staying in my room a lot more often. Now, Lamont, has there been anything that you have been doing to cope with the stressors that you've been dealing with? Lamont states, I feel a lot of pressure and honestly I've been drinking again since the last child. I really appreciate you both sharing that, and it tells me that you have both been carrying a lot and that hopefully we can find better coping strategies for both of you moving forward. So, just to summarize, your family has been dealing with a lot of stressors lately, and that includes financial instability, and that neither one of you is working, neither one of you can drive at the moment. There has been issues with the DUI and not being able to afford prescription medications, and that you're also living with Mary's mom, Esther, in a small two-bedroom apartment that is temporary. You don't always agree on disciplinary actions, which can be big stressor, but I also want to point out the strengths that you have as well with everything that's been going on. Like I stated, I can tell that both of you deeply care about your kids and that you're here asking for help. So the courage and communication and the motivation are huge strengths, and that matters a lot. So before we end today, I want to ask one last question. What would you feel like the most helpful first step for your family would be right now? Vermont states, honestly, support and resources for the kids so we can better help them and therefore affect the family positively as a whole. Well, that makes complete sense. So next time we can start with small steps and focus on early intervention services, school supports, and the community resources that might help you guys that we can look into locally. So thank you again for meeting with me again today. And I appreciate your conversation, and we'll work together to see what we can do to best help.